So I'm starting the class now. If everybody could mute, and whenever you want to have any question, unmute, please. Okay. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so we are on verse 4 of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. And so we did 1, 2, and 3. And the last one that we did says, for a muni or a sage, and muni means mananshil, contemplative person, who wishes to attain to yoga, who has a desire, who is making effort to reach. And here when you say yoga means dhyana yoga, action is said to be the means. So this person is trying to get there. So for him, karma yoga is the means. And for the sage who has attained to yoga means basically saying who has a mind under control. Inaction or shama is said to be the means, quietude of mind. His only sadhana, his main sadhana is quietude of mind. He has to make his actions less. Unnecessary actions he has to drop. So that's what we learned. And the next verse, for I'm going to chant, we'll do the word meaning and we'll see what it says. Yada hinendriyartheshu na karma svanushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudhastadochate. Yada means when, he, verily. Indriyartheshu, in the sense objects, indriyas. No is not. Karmasu, in action. In actions. Anushajjate means is attached. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi, renouncer of all thoughts. We have gone in detail what does sankalpa mean. And here in this context, unnecessarily imagination, thinking, desire, all of that. Yoga rudaha, and we have gone very detailed in what yoga ruda is. जैसे कि वो घोड़े के ऊपर चढ़ जाता है और उसको कंट्रोल में ले लेता है, वैसे ही अपने मन को कंट्रोल जिसका हो गया है, वैसे योगा रूढ़. One who has attained to yoga. Tadha, is then, uchyate is said. So now he told us the qualification, and now the question is, am I ready or not? How do I know if I'm ready or not? That's where, this verse comes in the picture. Krishna Bhagavan is giving you the indicator that if these, conditions are met, that means you are ready. You are yoga rud. So I think it's a very important one. What are those qualifications? And as we already know now, the yoga route means there are two ways of looking at it and both are similar. One is, जिसका mind control में हो गया हो, और दूसरा जो meditation की seat पे बैठा हो, controlled mind से, ready to take off. And we had given the example of a plane, that if a plane does not catch a proper speed, it's not going to take off. वो वहीं रह जाएगा. So same way here. So when we talk about meditation in Bhagavad Gita, it may have a slightly different context than what we are used to, because the meditation word has become very loose and all different meanings are there and they might be appropriate at their own place. I'm not discounting it, but here we have to understand what Krishna Bhagavan is saying, because they have a purpose on meditation. Because some people might do meditation, hey, I want to physically feel better, or I want to have more concentrated. Here they're talking about meditation that wants to take you to moksha. Okay? So we have to understand the purpose and the context also over here. So don't confuse, whatever sadhana you are doing with that. So now, which person he's talking about who's sitting in the meditation? A person who has developed this qualification of mind. And what are those qualification of mind? The main thing is he's not attached. Detachment is the main, but detachment with what, that we're going to see. So, interestingly, Kathopanishad and Bhagavad Gita going absolutely side by side. I think it's somehow some kind of great synchronicity is happening. So I would urge everybody, I know one or two people are leaving after Bhagavad Gita. I would say stick with Kathopanishad, you'll understand Bhagavad Gita more, and vice versa, It's really very complementary right now to each other. So, what do we get attached to? Simple. If you simply scientifically see, Shabda, Sparsa, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all the different objects of our senses, those are the ones that we get attached to. And so what he's saying, Krishna Bhagavan over here, when these sense objects have no longer any attraction toward in your mind, so that's called, not being attached. And the other thing you can say is attached to actions. Usually, and there is a whole science behind it that, even Swamiji talked about it, and all the different Swamis discussed that. And, it's a little contemplative thing, but we will see. So basically, what they say in Vedanta is that the ignorance of the real nature is a main culprit. When we are ignorant of the real nature, and sometimes we may intellectually know it, but it has not become our wisdom yet, right? So, because of ignorance, desire in our intellect, desire is born. And that desire becomes attachment to all these objects, and then that's why we do action. So now somebody might say that, hey, these saints and sages who are self-realized also do action. But remember, their motive is totally different. They are not doing action to gain some happiness in the world because they know that happiness is very fleeting. They already have that, happiness, permanent happiness, eternal happiness, infinite happiness, but they are doing it out of that joy and happiness to help the world or become the instrument of God. That's why they do action. So there's a huge difference between action we do versus them. So keep that in mind. So, what happens is that ignorance turns into a desire, and to fulfill those desires, we do action. So, further analyzing it, there are 2 points that happens. One is that we want to attain something. That's why we perform action. But then what contemplation that we have to do, and this Swamiji from Delhi, Nikhilanandji, he brought out that point. It was a very beautiful point. He's saying that मेरे पास जो कुछ नहीं है उसको लेने के लिए I do action. But अगर already मेरे पास कोई चीज़ है, उसको लेने के लिए मुझे कोई not लेने के लिए, उसको समझने के लिए मुझे action की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Then I require knowledge. Because what have we learned? That this Brahman is same as Atma in us, right? And that is like our true nature. That is not outside. That is within me only. So if I think it that way, do I have to go anywhere to get it? No, because it's already with me. Do I have to have any action? Do I have to do any action to get it? No. Because I don't need to do any, because it's already with me. So what do I need? I need to gain the knowledge that it is with me. Did everybody get it? So when we have this wrong idea, I'm sorry, did somebody say something? So this is little bit technical, but it's very logical from whatever we have learned. Okay. So what he was saying is, that's why in many mantras it says to gain this Atma, you don't need to run around anywhere and you don't need to do anything. So somebody might say, hey, does that mean that all my sadhana is wasted? No. That sadhana you are doing for purity of mind. Because without pure mind, you cannot understand that knowledge. So there is a role in it, but we are trying to understand technically what is happening. So he's saying that you don't have to go somewhere to get it. You don't need to do any action, because only when you want something in the world, you have to do the action. Well, I want this job, I want this position, I want this money, I want this, all those things. And how do I say it? We should not be thinking, hey, that doesn't mean that I should not get all these things, but knowing fully well they are temporary. And have the correct relationship with that okay, yeah, to earn money, I need to earn money. I'm a householder. I need to pay bills and all that. But getting obsessed with it and thinking that this is going to give me permanent happiness, that's where the problem comes. Because, that's not going to give you permanent happiness. And that's why people who have a lot of things also feel very dejected and, now what and all that. It does not give them that satisfaction. So keep all those points together in mind, And he's saying that जितनी ज़्यादा pressing desire होएगी ना, उतना ही वो forcefully act करेगा, सब काम छोड़ के, because the desire is so strong. And he's saying that from worldly perspective, yeah, there you can give a lot of justification, rationalization to do the action, and that's correct also. There's nothing wrong with it. But remember, this is only from the worldly point, okay? But the person that he's talking about, Krishna Bhagavan, the person who is sitting in that seat of meditation, for him, that there should be no attachment to action, at least for that period of time. He should not be obsessed with it, because he has the complete understanding that that's a worldly thing and I'm trying to gain something different. Okay? So, and then he also brought out again, Nikhilanandji, that, over here, meditation is not some kind of action that you're doing, but it's a state of being, in a particular state. It's being. So he's saying that in that state, and we have discussed this before also, even the desire of moksha has to be dropped. When they say no desire, means absolutely no, desirelessness. And we cannot imagine that state, but at least intellectually we should try to understand what they are talking about. Okay? So, if you flip side is, if somebody has a desire, clinging desire for something, then that's a sign of ignorance. Okay? And even I have to go somewhere, I have to read somewhere. He even joked, and I tell you this. He's saying that, if suppose somebody को बोले कि you sit down in meditation, he's saying नहीं, I want to go to the तीर्थ स्थान, वहाँ से मेरा बुलावा आया है. He will run over there, but the kind of meditation Krishna Bhagavan is talking about, you don't need to go anywhere, or don't need to do anything. You have to just contemplate and get there, or first step is obviously purity of mind, For that you can, if you think that by going somewhere you can get purity of mind, then that's a different story. But otherwise he's talking about this, okay? So he's saying that this is the only qualification over here for this kind of meditation they're talking about, detachment. Complete detachment. And he's saying no other qualification is required. And then he again joked, I thought that was very funny. He's saying that when you go to a meditation camp, then the qualification is pay the fees first. Pay the fees, and the second qualification may be, hey, follow their rules. They might make a set of 5-10 rules, He's saying, but Krishna Bhagavan is saying no such thing, no fee required, no rules required. Main thing is detachment. And so he also further joked. He said, you might go to this camp, and he's saying you might sit over there, and there may be many Buddhas around you. Means they are very highly accomplished in meditation, and very nice. He was not like making fun of them, but true people who are high, advanced in meditation. They may be all around you, but that's not going to help you. See what I'm saying? sometimes we think, a collective meditation is very good and all. Maybe it has some energy level, but the kind of meditation they are talking about, it's very personalized, individual, subjective. And even other people maybe around you, that's not going to help you, because you need to do your own detachment. Then only it's going to help you. So I thought that was a very, very good point. And he said, let me see other points that he said, and I can go and read. Oh yeah, one very, very important point he said. And I think Swamiji also brings that up. Because he said that, in the worldly desires and all, they are not helpful for us and it's a sign of ignorance. Does that mean that he needs to hate the world? He's saying absolutely not. This person who is yoga rude does not hate the world, or he does not talk against it at all. Because, he's saying that he realizes that this whole sansar is that Brahman only. It's a manifestation of that Brahman, but he just knows that this is not going to give me permanent happiness. But it has its own value. So he's not going to say anything against it. And what in his mind, it doesn't hold any attraction anymore. Like how we get fascinated by things, he does not. So, and one of the examples that Nikhilanandji gave was, it's like a magnet. You have a very powerful magnet here, and you bring any kind of objects of iron around it, boom, it will attract it, right? He's saying, just imagine that if that magnet has lost its power to attract. That's how this person's mind has become, So he doesn't court, things, ye mil jaye to main khush ho jaunga, ye wo, nothing. He doesn't do any of that. And then even if he closes his eyes and sits, because see, when we were talking about it, that when we sit in meditation, we can close our eyes, we can try to be relatively quiet in a room. All that are very good practices in the beginning, but if some big dhamaka happens or some smell is coming from the kitchen, or you can't control that, right? You can't close your nose or ears completely and all that. So he's saying that this person may be sitting in the seat of meditation, but other things don't attract him. Even if something is happening, it doesn't create any waves in him. That's what yoga road is all about, mind so much in control. And so he said that it is something like you take a little a toddler or a little boy or little girl in a toy shop. How those things constantly attract them, So he's saying that that's what this person, yoga root wale ka, wo attract nahi karega, koi bhi cheez. Sansar ki koi bhi cheez usko attract nahi karega, So the final conclusion is there are 2 points. No longer he's attracted to the world, and no longer he's attached to all the senses. And that's why he's not attached to action also. Because one of our problem is, through this process, we actually get attached to our actions. Agar main ye nahi karungi to wo kya karungi fir, Attachment to the action also you have to drop. And the third thing that this verse talks about is all the sankalp. So when I'm sitting in the seat of meditation, I don't have all these fanciful imaginations and things like that. I drop. Past, future, both I drop. And that's what the yoga route is. Okay. And so he's saying that this is, once you get this, then only you can progress. But suppose I'm not there yet, I don't need to get disheartened. Just follow the previous steps of Karma Yoga. And slowly you will slide into it. We have talked about it. So nobody needs to get disheartened about it. And by contemplation, you get this understanding. And then uske baad wala jo verse aane wala hai na, very famous verse, verse 5, that you don't need anybody's help, but by yourself, you lift yourself. That's going to come. And that one, once we do that, you will see that a lot of time people quote that verse 5 when we come to it. So that's how Krishna Bhagwan is going to encourage that, you can do this all by yourself. So any comment, question before we read?
Yes, a question. Was thinking about it. See, the desire makes us do action. Desire produces thoughts, thoughts produce actions, right? So when we are saying if he's not sort of attached to the sense objects, that means the desire. So why, I know we are giving importance to the action. So my question is, these two seem to me the same thing. If desire is not there, I'm not propelled to do anything.
That's exactly what he's saying. So your thinking is not wrong. It is correct. But all I was trying to bring up is that those people who are self-realized, they do so much action, right? But unka motive alag hai. They are not doing because they are trying to gain something. They have already gained the highest. They are just trying to help other people get to that stage. So true. What mainly when they talk about action, they're talking about selfish actions. Actions and all, yeah. So ये नहीं है कि भाई अगर मैं self realize हो गई, then what Krishna Bhagwan encourages you to go and work in the world, right?
Yes.
That is big hallmark.
But that's called sort of actionless.
Action. There you go. There you are. That's called a karma mode. He's doing in a karma mode. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
So-
I understand, but to me it was the confusion between the first and the second. They said no desires and no actions. I said, if I don't have desires, I'm not prompted to do anything.
True.
You know?
So it all fits in. This is how it fits in. Suppose a person, he has kind of not contemplated much about what is unreal, real, and he's kind of getting there slowly, and he has lot of desire in his mind. So Krishna Bhagwan is saying, एकदम से desire नहीं निकल जाती है, right? Okay, desire है और तुम्हारा जो क्या बोलते हैं, तुम्हारी tendencies है कुछ करने की. Some people love to cook food, some people do this, some people do that. He's saying, take that and do it as a unselfish way. Try to help somebody with your talent. So then you will purify your mind. Once you purify your mind, when you come to that yoga root stage, तो तुम अपनी एक्टिविटी को काफी कम कर दो. फिर तुमको इधर उधर भागने की जरूरत नहीं है. Your main thing if you want to reach that moksha is the shama, means continue that quietude of mind. Maybe make the meditation time longer, more deeper, You don't even have to make very long. It's not like, when you take Buddha's example, he came to a point where when he sat down under that final tree, he didn't get up until he got the moksha, right? So, but okay, that stage may be too far, but how do I do it right now? So I can do it the way they have told us. First, focus on selfless action that will slowly lead you to less action and more shama. And that will lead.
Okay, thank you.
Any other point, question, comment? Okay, so we can read. Any volunteer to read verse 4? I'm going to ask Anil ji if nobody else is.
When a man is not attached to sense objects or to actions, having renounced all thoughts, then he is said to have attained yoga. It is the experience of everyone, and therefore it is not very difficult for a young seeker to know the state of an aspirant, Aruksha. It has been said by the Lord that so long as we are in the state of seeking, the path of self-perfection lies through the high road of selfless activity. Withdrawal from activity is to be undertaken only when we have reached the state of mental mastery, Yoga Ruddha.
Yoga Ruda. Yoga Ruda.
Yoga Rud. To renounce activity at an earlier stage would be as unhealthy as to continue disturbing the mind with activities after having reached the second stage, where we are told quiescence is the means for gathering speed in our flight through meditation. Naturally, it is necessary for a seeker to know as to when exactly does he reach the second stage indicated here by the term Yogarut.
Yoga Rudha, yeah.
Yoga
So,
Rudha.
yeah. So here, as you can see in the verse, it said that when a man is not attached to sense objects or to action and having renounced all thoughts, means sare wo fanciful ideas or sankalp jo when he's sitting in the seat of meditation, then he is considered that he has attained yoga. And this in this paragraph, he's talking about that there are two different stages. One is when we are in the state of seeking, means we are not there yet, we are not yoga rudh yet. That time selfless activity is an important thing. But once we become yoga rudha, activities have to be dropped. We cannot completely drop all activities. शरीर को चलाने के लिए वो चाहिए ही हमको. And we are householders, so we have to do certain things, duties, right? Like we used to have this discussion in our study group. But what our teacher used to say, you can drop your unnecessary activity. As a householder, हम भी बहुत फालतूगिरी करते हैं, right? इधर उधर भागेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, इधर we are at an age we don't run around, but when we were younger we used to go shopping, because when we started our study group we were in our 30s, so we were like, oh ये sale लगी है वहाँ पर, वो sale लगी है, why unnecessarily, और उसमें से आधा सामान लेके आएंगे और वो आधा फेंक भी देंगे, because we don't, we just greed at that time. We're not going to even use it. I'm just giving an example. So when we are at this stage, higher stage, there is, and it's going to come in Kathopanishad, that how यमराज ने ना ये जाल फैलाया हुआ है हमारे सामने. और अभी कौन सा जाल है? ये व्हाट्सएप का और ये वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब का जाल है और ये टीवी का कितने सारे चैनल्स, in our house also we have the so many, pata nahi kya, my boys know all that, they only put it up, I don't even know. Hulu and what you call Amazon Prime and Netflix, and somebody could be sitting on TV all day. And in India I'm told that a lot of women are completely like what should I say, addicted to the soap operas. यहाँ पर हम लोग को टाइम नहीं मिलता है, but वहाँ पर वो नौकर चाकर होते हैं, once they get to a certain age, they don't have to do anything, and they are completely, so they are more concerned कि what is happening in the soap opera. And कोई घर वाला भी आके उनको बुलाएगा तो बोले नहीं, I want to know कि फलाने का क्या हुआ. That's, I'm just giving those examples, useless activities. So he's saying that that's what you have to drop. So what can I drop if my mind has become relative? My useless activity. Each person has to evaluate their own useless activities. That's what we do, So those are the kind of points he has brought in over here. Next paragraph.
In this stanza, Krishna is trying to indicate the physical and mental conditions of one who has come to break the state of mind and ride over it. So, Umaji, जो आप कह रही थी ना कि when we were in our 30s, we were looking for sales and buying and buying and buying. Those desires, as we grow, go away by itself.
Correct. Yes. But then all I'm saying is there's a danger of other kind of desires taking over too. We may not even know it. It sneaks upon us. And I mean, there are some people, because अब आजकल बच्चे कम होते हैं ना, so एक दो बच्चे होते हैं, फिर उनके बच्चे हो जाते हैं, एक दो grandchildren, there are, our teacher used to, I'm not saying, I'm a grandma too, and I love my grandson, I want to spend time, but he's saying that वो इतने बह जाते हैं अपने grandchildren में कि भूल जाते हैं कि there is, hey, you have to do some sadhana yourself too. Whole time उसका birthday है तो उसका ये है तो उसका वो है, they get, that's another kind of jal. Nobody's saying don't spend time with your grand. Please do and do all that, but keep a balance. Take out time for yourself too. So those, what you are saying, Anilji, is so true. But there is a danger of substitution of some other kind of worldly activities, which are like out of control again. And even this WhatsApp, I've heard that, I mean, India, say, I don't know if you get it. Some people send 40, 50 a day. It's like all they're doing sitting and they take from everybody and forward everything to everybody. I'm not going to say who somebody in my family does that. Every day I have to clear that because my phone gets totally jammed if I continue with that. So, and there is no way I can be reading 50 of them, and everybody thinks that what they are sending is the best one. And, I'm also included in it. So, it's not, but I'm just saying that those are the dangers,
गीता की क्लास चल रही है.
Kamla ji, you have to mute yourself. Sorry. Welcome. Okay, so.
Yeah, go ahead. One sadhu was saying that if you want to punish a teenager, just take his cell phone away for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I hate to say, ये adults को भी करके देख लो. हम लोग का 10 minutes नहीं, हम लोग का एक दिन ले लो. चलो, उसको थोड़ा extend कर दो. हम भी ऐसे छटपटाएंगे. Right? Because अभी तो घर के बाहर भी निकलते ना. Like the other day I left the home and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I forgot my cell phone. And I told my husband and son, don't get away from me because I don't have a cell phone. I felt so insecure. And then I said, how stupid, At one time we didn't have it. But we have gotten totally dependent. That's another kind of jal if you think about it. So.
He says that when one is feeling no mental attachment, either to the sense objects or to the actions in the outer world, it is one of the symptoms of one's own perfect mastery over the mind. This should not be overstressed to a dreary literal meaning, making it a grotesque caricature of truth. It only means that the mind of a seeker in the meditation seat is so perfectly withdrawn from the external world of sense objects and the activities that it is perfect in its equipoise at the time of self-application.
So this is a very, very important thing that Swamiji brought it out, Gurudev brought it out, Chinmayananji, that, because since we are householders, when we engage with the world, we'll have to do those activities and this and that. But when the person who has become yoga-rooted, householder who has become yoga-rooted, when he sits in the seat of meditation, he has no attraction to. He can separate it. Means his mind is under so much control कि भाई अभी मुझे नहीं सोचना है किसी चीज के बारे में तो वो नहीं सोचेगा. And we have already done chapter 2, जिसमें characteristic of a man of wisdom बताया गया था. And one of the characteristic was that he can withdraw his senses like a kachua withdraws. His tortoise withdraws all his limbs. कोई danger आया, he knows how to withdraw, including his mind, and not engage with the world, And then he can again release it. So that's so remember that. It doesn't mean कि वो detachment तो वो गुफा में जाके बैठ गया and he think the world is bad. Nothing like that. He can be engaged with the world, but his mind is under his control.
The sense organs can run into the channels of the sense objects only when the mind is flowing out to these organs. If the mind is kept engaged in the contemplation of a great truth, providing for itself there in the inner bosom a larger quota of an ample joy, it will no more go hunting for bits of joy in the gutters of sensuality. A well-fed pet dog will not scrounge the public dustbins for its food.
Swamiji is so strong. So he's telling your mind that it's like, किसी कोई पेट है उसको अच्छे से खिला पिला के रखो तुम तो वो बाहर जाके कचरा नहीं खाएगा. So he's saying तुम्हारे माइंड को तुम अगर सेल्फ से जोड़ दोगे और इतना जॉय तुमको मिल रहा है, why would you even engage with the world? Because this person knows so well the worldly things are not going to give me much of anything. Just fleeting joys here and there. I thought this was such a fantastic example, It's very strong, but tells the point.
Actually, it is so powerful. Anytime you have a strong desires and you think of this, it can help you.
And true. And like in India में तो इतनी philosophy वगैरह है, पर फिर भी लोग इतना attached होते हैं अपने वो घर से और कार से और इससे और उससे पता नहीं. And this actually, I'll tell you an incident. I was in California those days before we went to Houston. We used to be in Bay Area. And when my husband got a job in Houston, we had to sell the house, and I was back home with the two boys. They were very young, 3 and 5 years old. And I was trying to sell the house in San Mateo over there. And the earthquake came, the big one that hit. Do you remember? That whoever, 89 wala, जो जिसमें वो Bay Bridge गिर गया था वगैरह. Right? So there was so much chaos, and I had to deal with it all by myself and all. But anyway, it happened. So there was one area in that Bay Area, जिसमें ना houses were very, very expensive. It was a very nice area. But because of the earthquake, some water came under ocean water or something, and all the houses fell down. And luckily, not too many people died, but it was considered a very hi-fi area, and people lost everything. Okay, so there was this one man who had just built a house, and when the earthquake came, it was 5 p.m. in the afternoon. It was a very hot day. So you know how in California people just apna kachhe mein baith jayenge, they will take out their shirt and all that. And when the earthquake came, they all ran out. Even we ran out. I picked up the 2 kids and I ran out because you don't want the house to be falling on you. And there was people who were standing in their shorts without shirt on the street, and now their whole house gir gaya. They can't go inside. And these people are not poor people, okay? They are like wealthy people. But all of a sudden, they are half naked standing on the street. And then they have to stand in line as a homeless person almost to get a shirt. Because the police said you can't get into your house to even pick up anything. You cannot, so dangerous. So then they were interviewing these people. That, hey, you lost everything. And there was this one man, kabhi nahi bhulungi usne kya bola. So he said, hey, who are you? What's your name? And what did you lose? He's saying, I lost my home. And he said, but were you insured? He said, no, he did not have insurance. That means he lost everything. So he said, but you don't look that sad, like you're not crying and all that. He said, I'm standing here. I'm so thankful that God saved my life. And he was, not that old. He must be in his 40s or maybe 30s, I don't know. And he said, I can work hard and make it again. I'm happy that I'm alive. And there are people helping me, giving me this shirt and all. And I said, wow. In those days, I had not studied Bhagavad Gita that well and all that. I'm like, ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं दुनिया में. हम लोग तो रो के बुरा हाल हो जाता वहाँ पे. क्योंकि हमारा सब कुछ चला गया होता. That man was like a rock. So there are people in the world who are rooted in something higher, because he knew that in the world, okay, चीजें आती है, जाती है, but मैं तो खड़ा हूँ यहाँ पे. If I could do it before, I can do it again. Gave me so much encouragement. That has never left me. Whenever I feel like down, I think about that man. Still, after so many, 30, 40 years, whatever,
When the mind is not thus gushing out, either through the sense channels or through the fields of its egocentric activities, it becomes completely engaged in the contemplation of the greater truth, the self. Here the term used to indicate the complete non-attachment is to be noted very carefully. The Sanskrit word, आप बताइए इसको कैसे कहते हैं?
इसको कहते हैं अनुसज्जते. It is from the verse, and the pronunciation is anusajjate.
The Sanskrit word anusajjate is a word symbol created by prefixing an indeclinable anu to the verb saj, meaning attached. The prefix anu indicates not a bit. Therefore, the term used here forbids even traces of attachment either to the sense objects or the fields of activity.
So, the word is sajjate, means attach, or what Swamiji is saying, uske aage Krishna Bhagwan ne ek prefix lagaya, anusajjate, means not even a bit. That's why I gave example of this man, that he's standing on the street, he has lost everything, but his attachment was not there. this American man, that's what he's talking about, that, kuch bhi chala jaye, kuch bhi, not, no attachment. That's the kind of condition. That's called yoga rooಢ. And ऐसे हैं दुनिया में लोग. That's what it is.
और इसके opposite एक मैं आपको बताता हूँ incident. I was traveling right after 9/11, and when the luggage is screened, this handbag, then there was some makeup stuff inside, and no liquids were allowed or anything. So the person said, "Ma'am, we have to take this out, and it cannot go inside the plane." And I still remember it so vividly. She started crying. No, I have to have my makeup, no matter what.
So that's the opposite of, it is like too much sajjate. True. So there are both spectrums available, Yeah.
When the mind has been withdrawn from the sense organs and completely detached from all its external physical activities, it is possible that it is still tossed and agitated by the gurglings of its own inner instincts of willing and wishing, desiring and earning. This power of sankalpa can bring more storms into the bosom of a man than the disturbances his mind could receive from the external world. Krishna indicates here that he who has gained a complete mastery over his mind is one who has not only withdrawn himself from all sense objects and activities in the outer world, but he is one who has also dried up all the sankalpa disturbances in his own mind. Such an individual at the moment of meditation is in that inward state which is described here as yoga rudh. It is clear that to such an individual, meditation can be intensified only by quietude, sama.
Shama. So this shama. So यहाँ पर ये कहा गया है कि okay, जो हम लोग attachment की बात कर रहे हैं वो है outside. कि world से attachment through the sense objects and through our senses, have a complete mastery over the senses, know how to withdraw it and all that, right? But there is one more danger, ना? हमने सब withdraw कर लिया, अब हम बैठे हैं, तो अभी क्या होएगा? अंदर से चलेगा हमारा mind. Because Swami ji said, our own inner instincts of willing and wishing, desiring and earning. So that is what the sankalpa is talking about. All the fanciful things, मतलब हमने अपने शरीर को स्थिर कर दिया, वो सब कर दिया और बोला okay, outside I'm not going to worry about, I'm not going to get attracted to anything outside. I'm not going to think about that house, sale, car, kitchen, nothing. But मैं बैठ गई, लेकिन वो पुरानी बातें याद आ रही है, फ्यूचर याद आ रहा है, ये हो रहा है, संकल्प विकल्प होने लगा. That's what he's talking about. वो भी dry down होना चाहिए. That's why he said 3 things. Not attached to sense objects, not attached to action, and renounce all thoughts. Then you are complete yoga rooಢ. So a lot of work has to be done. Then somebody say, how do I do it? He's given the remedy. Start doing by karma yoga. By doing karma yoga, you get fit. All those 3 things you can achieve by slowly if you start doing that. Any question, comment?
I mean, that's why I'm just repeating myself. That's why it is so important to go through karma yoga. Unless you do that, then this agitation of mind will not go away.
Correct. So you may be like, in fact, one of the verses, Krishna Bhagwan ने अर्जुन को बोला कि अगर तुम्हारा mind चल रहा है और तुम meditation में बैठे हो तो you are मिथ्याचारी.
Yeah.
You are a ढोंगी. Strong word use किया. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि try मत करो. So don't take him wrong. Okay? But all he's saying is कि अगर तुम बैठते हो meditation में तुम्हारा mind quiet नहीं होता है तो इसका मतलब तुम्हें और मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी कर्म योगा करने में. It's like the same thing I gave an example of an athlete. He wants to climb this mountain, but if he has not done the sadhana of exercise every day, running and doing this and then you say, oh, I'm going to climb the mountain, maza ke flat ho jayega. So that's what it is. So you have to constantly keep doing those sadhana to continuous purity of mind. I mean, some people even believe that okay, जिस ढंग से हम लोग रोज नहाते हैं ना to keep our body clean, to keep mind clean, we have to do certain sadhanas. तो mind वैसे ही गंदा हो जाता है, राग द्वेष ये वो, और हाउस होल्डर्स के लिए तो बहुत ज़रूरी हो जाता है, राइट? जो गुफा में बैठा है वो तो इंगेज नहीं कर रहा है वर्ल्ड के साथ, तो कम चांस होता है. हम लोग तो कितना इंगेज करना पड़ता है फैमिली के साथ, फ्रेंड्स एंड आउटसाइड, ये वो, एवरीथिंग. नेगेटिव थिंग कम इन आवर माइंड, you know. So keeping those 5 principles of karma yoga, then we can constantly keep it clean. Any other point?
Hari Om Ummanji.
Hari Om.
Yeah, yesterday I was listening one satsang. It was satsang शिवानंदा का था, ऋषिकेश से. मेरे अंकल का गुरु है वो.
Oh,
तो
okay.
बता रहे थे कि भाई योगा भी 5 टाइप के हैं. जैसे अभी चल रहा है ना, सबसे पहले तो कर्म योगा. तो वो कर्म तो चाहिए ही, प्योरिटी तो उसमें चाहिए ही. और फिर उसके बाद बोला भक्ति योगा. भाई वो भी नेसेसरी है.
Right.
कर्म शुद्ध होगा तो वो भक्ति हो जाती है. उसके बाद बोला भाई हठ योगा, which Satguru always specifies. Hatha yoga is meant to purify your mind.